AEW reportedly has plans for Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay at AEW All In at London's Wembley Stadium. Details on that, plus we have the ratings for this week's edition of AEW Dynamite on TBS. CM Punk mocks some botched Ring of Honor merchandise. Could there be more issues and more heat within the AEW Women's Division? Saraya seemingly agrees with criticism of the booking of AEW Women's Division this year. Rouge reportedly has signed a new contract for an insane amount of money, according to some WWE sources. Tony Khan reveals that Scorpio Sky is injured. Chris Hero signs on full-time as a backstage AEW producer. MGF reportedly was backstage last week at AEW Collision, and the latest Ring of Honor Pure title defense has been revealed. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling. Let's start off talking about this story regarding Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay at AEW's All In event at London's Wembley Stadium. Well, according to Sean Rossap of Fightful Select, a major match is being discussed for AEW All In, and it features a New Japan Pro Wrestling star. Fightful Select are reporting that they can confirm that IWGP United States Champion Will Ospreay is being planned and is expected to wrestle in his home country of England at AEW All In. The match currently being planned isn't a rematch with Kenny Omega. However, Fightful have been told by New Japan Pro Wrestling sources that the plan relayed to them in July was Ospreay competing against former AEW, WCW, Ring of Honor and WWE World Champion Chris Jericho. Fightful have been told that Don Callis is featured into the equation somehow, but Fightful are unsure which side he will be on. Of course, in recent weeks on AEW television, Callis has been courting Chris Jericho, and he's been doing this on Dynamite for weeks, but accompanied also Will Ospreay at the AEW New Japan Forbidden Door pay-per-view, so the question then becomes, which side will Don Callis be on? But that is the latest, that Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay is reportedly planned as of right now for AEW All In. So what are your thoughts on that being a potential match? Are you even interested in seeing Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay? Or, for the biggest show in AEW history, would you rather see Ospreay face off against someone else, like Kenny Omega for a third time, or another name on the AEW roster? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Now let's talk about the ratings for this week's edition of AEW Dynamite on TBS. This week's episode of AEW Dynamite averaged 898,000 viewers on TBS, which is down 5.8% from the prior week. It was still the second highest audience for the show since June 21st. Dynamite averaged a 0.29 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic, which is down 14.7% from last week. It also ties the second lowest rating the show has done since May 17. The show went head-to-head with Fox's coverage of the FIFA Women's World Cup, which averaged 4.381 million viewers and had a 1.20 rating in the 18 to 49 demo. Dynamite beat everything else on network television, although cable rankings are not currently available. As compared to the same week in 2022, Dynamite was down 8% in total viewers and 12.1% in the 18 to 49 demo. We have obviously quite a lot of viewership information over the last few weeks, but what are your thoughts on the viewership number and the key demographic number? Is it just a case of strong sports competition, or more of an example of AEW Dynamite's audience shrinking a little bit year over year, particularly when it comes to the key demographic rating? What are your thoughts, opinions? Let me know in the comment section below. Now this is quite interesting because the botches for this merchandise are pretty wild actually. CM Punk, a former Ring of Honor World Champion himself, has mocked official company merch that was made for the Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor event on social media as, quote, absolutely not shocking. Of course, Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor took place on July 21st, 2023 at the Cure Insurance Arena in Trenton, New Jersey. Now, again, those dates and locations are very important. First of all, that day was a Friday, which is something that wasn't reflected in the commemorative t-shirt that was available. CM Punk posted a photograph to his Instagram stories, adding the caption, absolutely not shocking, how could this happen? The caption would be accompanied, as can be seen on the screen right now, by a laughing and thinking emoji. As if it wasn't baffling enough that the show took place on Friday, July 21st, and not Saturday, July 21st, there was also an error in its location too. According to the t-shirt, the show took place in Newark, New Jersey, not in its actual location of Trenton, New Jersey. Of course, I suppose the show could have taken place the day later in a different location, but it's still pretty wild. Now, the version of the shirt currently up for sale on Pro Wrestling Tees does in fact have the correct date and location, but seemingly this version did not. What are your thoughts on this? And this is just the latest example of issues with AEW merchandise. Of course, there has been criticism recently that merchandise at AEW events is very difficult to get your hands on. There's only usually one merch stand and not that much selection. And is this something that AEW/Ring of Honor need to get better at? Let me know your thoughts about that. Now, the AEW Women's Division, this is a big story this week, isn't it? Particularly because of that sign that you can see on the screen right now that briefly flashed on the screen during AEW Dynamite. Now, of course, when it comes to AEW, there's been no shortage of backstage incidents in AEW throughout the past few years, and another appears to have been uncovered. The Women's Division in AEW has been a big topic of conversation after this week's Dynamite, when a sign was shown for a good few seconds on television that simply said, quote, "Book the Women's Division better." There was also a lot of talk on social media regarding criticism aimed towards Taya Valkyrie and Britt Baker stemming from their match on AEW Dynamite. Now, prominent indie wrestler Lufisto has worked one match for AEW, that being in April 2022 for an Elevation taping where she teamed with Emi Sakura and The Bunny in a loss to Anna Jay, Ruby Soho and Sky Blue. It sounds like there was at least some kind of situation involving Lufisto during the brief time she spent backstage at AEW. In amongst all the recent talks, she tweeted, quote, "It's cute how people blame booking for a bad women's division. Talent with too much power, talent denigrating each other, talent trash talking potential employees so they never get in as soon as they walk in. It starts here." Lufisto did not specify who she was referring to as you, nor did she elaborate with any further context. When asked to specify, she replied, quote, "This is the first time I say something publicly after over a year. I'm not going to throw names on an app with limited characters. There are several details and context to explain the whole story with accuracy, which I'll do when the opportunity arises." Responding to a user who replied, "Bench players talking like starters, I hate it," she writes, quote, "Starters shitting on bench players who are better than them so they don't lose their spots. I hate it." In response to a reply that said, "Girl, you just ruined any chance you had of being an employee at all," Lufisto responded, "No worries, no need for such a toxic environment in my life." Now, nobody within AEW has responded to Lufisto's comments as of this recording, but certainly, again, it's very interesting and curious to see tales of more stories, particularly in the women's division, that has seen, of course, a lot of backstage rumors and discussion about it, particularly when it comes to the likes of Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa and the issues that they have had over the past 18 months or so. Now, the criticism of the booking in AEW for the women's division seems to continue, and a prominent member of the women's division in Saraya seemingly agrees with the critics' thoughts about the women's division booking. Now, Saraya is notoriously outspoken on Twitter, but her latest like may have shared some unspoken thoughts about what has been going on in the AEW Women's Division. As shown in the screenshot that you can see on the screen right now, Saraya liked a tweet that read, quote, "Kind of feels like the Outcast story was a big waste of time. Obviously, there's no controlling the hater injury, but we didn't get blood and guts out of it. The whole surrounding division paused, and it feels like very little was accomplished broadly in the first half of the year." Twitter is Twitter, of course, and every like isn't a full endorsement or a full stop endorsement of an ideology or thinking. However, it is an intriguing one in light of the recent criticisms of the booking of AEW Women's Division. The topic of Twitter, certainly yesterday and this week, has been Tony Khan's Women's Division booking after a sign in the crowd was shown on screen during Dynamite very clearly for several seconds that read, "Book the Women's Division better." That sign was shown directly after the match between Britt Baker and Taya Valkyrie. AEW Women's World Champion Toni Storm's last match was a title defense against Valkyrie herself on the July 15 Battle of the Belts show that followed that night's collision. Storm won the title from Hayter at Double or Nothing on May 28 due to Hayter being injured and needing to drop the bout to take some time away. But Storm herself hasn't wrestled on Dynamite since a month and a half ago on June 14, although she did have a title defense against Willow Nightingale at Forbidden Door on June 25th. During much of that time, the focus was on the Women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament, with Toni Storm and Saraya's partner in the Outcast Ruby Soho winning a couple of matches to get to the final before losing to Nightingale. As for TBS champion Chris Statlander, she won the title from then undefeated Jade Cargill at Double or Nothing and has defended on the May 31st Dynamite against Nyla Rose, at the June 7 Dynamite against Anna Jay, the June 21st Dynamite against Taya Valkyrie, and the July 1st Collision against Lady Frost, and the July 19 Rampage against Marina Shafir. Interestingly, also booked and led creatively by Tony Khan, Ring of Honor just had an epic showdown between Athena and Willow Nightingale, marking the first time in history of the promotion that women have main evented a pay-per-view. So what are your thoughts on all of the discussion and discourse surrounding the women's division in AEW right now? Should Tony Khan be booking the division better? Are people right to criticize, certainly, the division right now and the booking of it? Or is this overblown as referenced by the booking of the women's division in Ring of Honor? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. Really interested to know your opinions on that topic. Now, of course, Rouge, he is officially All Elite once again after re-signing with the company earlier this week. And following the announcement of a top AEW star recently re-signing with the company, details of the contract have perhaps been revealed, with the finances of the deal seemingly warning off interest from WWE. Writing in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer detailed WWE's interest in former Ring of Honor World Champion Rouge prior to him re-signing with Tony Khan's company. According to Meltzer, WWE had interest in using Rouge alongside his brother Dragon Lee in NXT. However, the company knew that the finances involved would be much larger than most of the NXT roster. WWE also realized that AEW would likely make a larger offer, adding further doubt about getting this deal done. As Meltzer explains, quote, regarding the WWE situation with him, the explanation from multiple people there is that they were interested in him for NXT and understood they'd have to make him an offer much bigger than just about anyone in NXT, obviously not Gable Steveson, but bigger than anyone else, because he'd get a big offer from AEW. However, WWE never made an official offer because when they found out what AEW offered, they knew there was no way he was going to WWE. Someone in WWE called the offer, quote, insane money. Now, WWE has yet to make a high-profile talent acquisition in 2023, the only signing reportedly confirmed being Carlito, who is yet to return to TV, with perhaps the last big arrival being Rouge's brother Dragon Lee in late 2022. While the company reportedly remains stringent due to the impending Endeavor acquisition and UFC merger, they have reportedly been keeping an eye on the contractual situation of the Elite, which we're going to be talking about later on today in the WWE news video. So be sure to check that out when that drops. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner, click the notification bell, you'll be notified when that video goes up. Now, Scorpio Sky has only just come back to AEW TV, but he was recently pulled from a Rampage taping due to an injury. Despite being advertised to compete on AEW Rampage, former TNT champion Scorpio Sky ended up being pulled from his planned match against Kip Sabian due to an undisclosed injury. At the tapings this week, Tony Khan appeared in front of the live crowd to announce that Sky was injured, which led to Commander replacing him in the match, which airs tonight on TNT. However, Khan didn't provide any further details on Sky's injury, and it's currently unknown how long he's expected to be out for. As I mentioned, the former SCU member had only just returned to AEW television after an almost year absence following the launch of AEW Collision, which also saw talents like Miro and Andrade El Idolo return to the company on television as well. Sky's only had one match back, which took place on the July 8 edition of AEW Collision, which saw him defeat Action Andretti, but since then he hasn't wrestled, and it is unclear whether or not the injury was sustained in that match or since then. His previous appearance before that saw him lose the TNT Championship to Wardlow back in 2022, but the reason for his lengthy break from the company has been undisclosed. He did suffer an injury in June 2022, but his break could have simply have been down to a lack of creative ideas. In fact, it was widely reported not long after that injury that he had recovered from it, and there was just no creative prepared for him to return to television. So if we get any more information as to the severity of this injury, when he's going to be back, the plans for him moving forward, of course, we'll let you know in a future video. MGF didn't appear at AEW Collision last week, but he was backstage. While the AEW World Champion, as I mentioned, did not appear on the show on the July 22nd episode, he was mentioned during a segment with AEW World Tag Team Champions FTR. Ahead of Dax Howard and Cash Wheeler defending their AEW Tag Team Championships against MJF and Adam Cole this week, FTR told Cole not to trust MJF, stating that they will defeat their challengers on the July 29 episode of the show. PW Insider has now reported that MJF was indeed backstage for the show, despite not appearing on camera. Cole and MGF earned a shot at the AEW World Tag Team Championships by defeating everyone else on the way to win the Blind Eliminator Tag Team Tournament. The former rivals defeated the teams of Matt Menard and The Butcher and Big Bill and Brian Cage to reach the finals of the tournament. In said finals, Cole and MGF defeated Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara of the Jericho Appreciation Society. So indeed, they're going to be facing off this weekend against the AEW World Tag Team Champions in this big match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The question is, are they going to win, and are they going to become the brand new AEW World Tag Team Champions, or is this the moment where MJF and Adam Cole finally turn on each other? Chris Hero, he's now full-time with AEW, but not as a wrestler right now. An update has emerged on the AEW status of Chris Hero following his recent run backstage in the company. Hero has been making backstage appearances for AEW since the June 17 Collision premiere, with the 43-year-old working as a backstage producer on a trial basis. An update has emerged on Hero's role with the company, with AEW reportedly hiring him as a full-time name. Per PW Insider, Chris Hero has now officially become a full-time producer for All Elite Wrestling. The report noted that Hero has gotten high marks for his work within the company. While the former Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion is celebrated for his work on the US independent scene, WWE fans will recognize Hero as the former Cassius Ohno, wrestling for WWE from 2011 to 2013 before returning in 2016. Hero was released by WWE in April 2020, but hasn't wrestled since competing in a Battle Royal for the NXT UK brand that March. AEW President Tony Khan has teased Hero's return to the ring, taking to Twitter earlier this month to note that he's chipping away at Hero. But indeed, he's now only working exclusively as a producer for both AEW and Ring of Honor. Speaking of Ring of Honor, finally, the next Ring of Honor Pure title defense has been revealed. Katsuyori Shibata's next Ring of Honor Pure title defense has been confirmed for next week's episode of ROH on Honor Club. The New Japan Pro Wrestling star will be facing Ring of Honor and AEW star Josh Woods. During this past Thursday's episode, Josh Woods defeated Eli Oslem in a Pure Rules match. Shibata was on hand as one of the 3 judges for the match. After the match, Mark Sterling issued the challenge for a title match on Woods' behalf, and Shibata came into the ring and raised the title. Over the last couple of weeks, Woods has been winning Pure Rules matches, including one against Ring of Honor veteran Tracy Williams. It's interesting to note that Woods is a former Ring of Honor Pure champion. He held the title for 201 days, winning it from Jonathan Gresham at Death Before Dishonor in September 2021 and losing it to Wheeler Yuta at Supercard of Honor in April 2022. Shibata has been the champion since March's Supercard of Honor pay-per-view, where he defeated Yuta for the title. Since then, he's defended the title against Christopher Daniels, Lee Moriarty, and Alex Coughlin. Most recently, he successfully defended it against AEW star Daniel Garcia at last Friday's Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view. Also, during the July 27 episode of Ring of Honor on Honor Club, the Ring of Honor World Television Championship Eliminator Tournament began with 4 first-round matches. Shane Taylor defeated Serpentico, Gravity got a victory over Anthony Henry, Tony Nese defeated Cheeseburger, and Christopher Daniels got past J.D. Drake. Also on Thursday's episode, Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena defeated Christina Marie in a proving ground match, while the Mogul Embassy, Bishop Korn, Brian Cage, and Toa Leona retained the Ring of Honor World 6-man Tag Team titles against the Iron Savages and Jacked Jameson. So there you go, guys. It's the latest AEW/Ring of Honor news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.